Hi guys, good morning. It's Diana from Inner Drop, and I work with boss ladies mostly to drop the BS and get to their truth so that they can do their big work. And every Friday here in this group or on this page, I talk about a tarot reading. I talk about through a tarot reading how to access your big work today. Very specific to today. So the question we always ask in these tarot readings every Friday morning is, what is my big work today? And hopefully the cards here today will give you inspiration and some ideas and also insight into the energy of right now so that you know, have a guidepost of what to shoot for. All right. First, I was inspired today to look at last week's reading, in particular because, sorry, I have this hair in my eye. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I was inspired to look at last week's reading because it was a last quarter moon, and we had a new moon just on Thursday. So new moons signify all of this potential, all this new energy, new possibilities, new opportunities. But I wanted to contrast a little bit of today's reading with last Friday's reading. So I went and refreshed my memory about what happened last week, and it was an awesome reading. And actually there's some synchronicities with today's. Actual two of the same cards came up. So I thought I would reflect on that for you a little bit as we go through things today as well. So last week, the main gist of the reading was we talked about the potential to manifest, that you can have what you want, that you can create what you desire. First thing you have to do is decide what you want. Like, say it, write it out. What do you want? How do you want it to look? How do you want it to feel? What is, for some reason my computer just freaked out. All right, so what do you want? What do you want to do? What's your decision? And then the other cards talked about speaking your truth, saying what you want very clearly, deciding, claiming it, and then going for it. The next card of last week was don't be afraid of change. I think that's the biggest fear that comes up. My computer's doing all kinds of wonky things. All right, so don't be afraid of change. Change is always going to come up, and the reminder or the animal card that went with that was the turtle, if you remember correctly. So the turtle is an awesome energy to think of, that you have all the wisdom, all the knowing, all the lessons that you've learned over your whole life. They are with you and inside of you, just like that turtle has all of its stuff it needs with him in its shell. He's like ready to go. So to remember that as change comes up, that you also have all this wisdom, all this knowing, all this intellect, all of this, ability to make great decisions on the go and to know what you want, and to work through any obstacles that come up. Hang on, there's a cat fight going on. Okay. Lots of stuff going on today during my reading. All right, so that's a little bit about last week's reading, and it'll be great to contrast it with basically a new moon reading for today for your big work. All right, but before I get into telling you what the card said, I'd like you to drop in for a minute and think about where you are today. What's in your heart? What are things that are coming up for you today? How are you feeling today? Put your hand on your heart and close your eyes and just drop in for a second. Stop what you're doing. just for 1 minute, and then you can return if you're doing other things and just listen. But connect to what the answer or the insight you want to get from the cards today regarding your big work. This message is for you and what you need to hear. Deep breaths. All right. I love this reading. It is freaking amazing. All right, so the two central cards of the big energy and your big work today, this basically says to me, this is what the feelings I want you to carry for today, to inspire you, to keep you on track, and to maintain, to hold, to go forward. So the two cards are both in the cups, and it's the 3 and the 4 of cups. Wow. So the 3 and the 4 of cups. As you can see, one of them is called luxury and one of them is called abundance. So think about those two words. What do they mean for you? Abundance is having everything flowing. You can see there's water flowing from above and into the cups and from below into the cups. The cups look like grapes, which are very abundant and fertile and lovely. And then we have the luxury card, which is the 4 of cups. And you can see 4s are very stable and balanced and flowing energy from above and below and just circulating all around and very stable. 3s are the beginning. I'd say this is beginning to know the energy. Sorry, this is beginning to know the energy, and then this is stabilizing it. So these two together is like if you were to say, I am abundant. I feel abundant. I have everything I need. I have all I need to do inside me. It's there. I just need to activate it and use it and decide what I'm going to do with it. To feel that joy and abundance and the luxury in your life, no matter what is going on, is a stabilizing force and a motivating force. I'm going to come back to the animal card for that because all the animal cards are just so positive and insane and inspiring, and the animals are really showing up for you today. Wait a minute, I will go back to the animal card for those two cards I just talked about because it really puts an exclamation point on that right now. So the card, it's an animal card. These are the spirit parts of the spirit suits of the animal card deck, which is, I should tell you, this is the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. And the tarot cards are used just to follow up as the Thoth deck, Thoth. All right, so we have the golden egg. The golden egg is in your heart chakra. All the spirit cards relate to a chakra in this deck. So this is putting an exclamation on the point because these two, when you hold the feeling of luxury and abundance in your heart, oh, doesn't that just feel so like expansive and vibrant and alive and purposeful? Like I said, it doesn't matter what's going on in your life. If you keep an open heart, an abundant heart, and it's flowing in love and abundance, everything is going to get better. So just return to your heart like we did earlier and just put your hand on your heart and just breathe for a minute if you feel like you're off track. I could go into that for hours, but we're going to move on. Okay, the next position, and actually we got this same card in this same position last week. So this is really something that is being brought forward for us to work with today. And that card is the 7 of Cups, and it's called Debauch, and it's one of the ugliest cards in the deck. You can see it's dripping with this oozy gunk. And this is when you let yourself get mired down by like self-pity, self-talk, victim thinking everything is happening to you. Well, you have a choice. You can decide, like I said earlier, you can decide how you want things to go for you. You get to decide. And if you get wallowed down in the mire and have this gunk over you all the time, it's really hard to get out of it. So I recommend going again to those first two cards, and being in your heart is a best way to get out of that. Like, talk to yourself. Like, if you're feeling all gunky, like, drop into your heart and say, what's underneath this that I can, what's the underneath feeling that I'm feeling that I could change? And our little animal friend to help us, which also came up last week, is the dolphin. And actually, dolphin is one of the first cards, his energy, that I used to get out of habitual thought patterns that I was letting control my whole vibration. I would get mired down in anger and just thinking about like being frustrated with people and situations, and I would just like run this loop consistently. But when I changed my thoughts into, I would like think about dolphin. Another one of the things I would think about is my puppy. And that totally changes your vibration, because you go to your heart and like feel how much love you have for your dog or your puppy or whatever. That was it for me. And I could just feel that, and it switched off that tape, and I might have to do it, the next second again, like to stop it, and the next second again to stop it. But in working with this practice all the time, in many ways, I broke that habit. Of course, I'm human. It still happens sometimes that I get into these loops of negative thinking or frustration or whatever. That's one of my favorite ways, is just to hold this picture of dolphin or your dog or your cat or your mom or your favorite flower or your favorite plant, or whatever like just lights you up, that you have easy access to. That's the other thing, is like you have to have something to access. So if it's dolphin for you, that playful, buoyant, intelligent creature blowing bubbles and jumping out of the water, attach to the energy of that dolphin. And forget about the habits that are bringing you down. So that position is what we can do to move forward. So if you feel like things are coming up that are keeping you from those first cards, like this card, the thought patterns might come in to try to block these things. And you can use like the dolphin energy or some of those practices that I just talked about to move through that quickly, because that debauch pattern is blocking you. It's keeping you in fear, keeping you in negative thinking, keeping you in self-pity, keeping you in habits that are keeping you from moving into the place you want to be, the emotional state you want to be, the job you want to be, the health you want to be, whatever. All right, the next card, and we've had this happen, I think this came up a few weeks ago, not in last week's, but a few weeks ago. So this position is called what to get over, like what to stop doing. Okay? And it's the futility card. It's the Seven of Swords. It's called futility. And you can see there's a central sword and then all these other swords like digging in, taking chinks out of that central sword. And this is all the ways, the swords are the mental suit of the deck. And it's all the ways you mentally like take stabs at yourself, basically, and knock yourself down and make you think you can't do or get or have or be what you want. So I call it the yeah, but card sometimes. So it's like, oh man, I really want that new job. Yeah, but I don't think you're qualified. Yeah, but I'm not qualified. I'm too far away. I don't have the clothes. I don't have the skills. I don't know if I would like it. I don't know if I'd be successful at it. I don't know. So it's all those like, I don't knows, yeah, but where you talk yourself out of it even before you've done anything about it. So it's when you think futility is when you think that putting effort into it won't come to fruition. If you think that what you're doing won't get you what you want. Well, the thing is you decide to get what you want, and you need to set those thoughts down. And our little animal card remedy friend, get ready for this. Unicorn. Awesome. These are like the animal cards that came up today. The golden egg, the dolphin, and unicorn are some of the highest vibration cards in the whole animal deck. And so overall, this reading is just saying to hold your vibration, to be positive, to be happy, to change into that abundance. You can think of abundance also as gratitude or appreciation, to keep that high vibration of being in your heart. You could also call it that. So back to the unicorn and the futility card. So if you're saying all these yeah buts, think of the unicorn. So the unicorn is about the third eye chakra right here. And it's about your intuition. It's about imagination. And like I've been talking about, imagination is where you start creating the life you want. So the unicorn, like I've been saying, is saying as well that you can have what you want. You just have to decide what it is, see it, envision it, write it out. How is it going to look? Decide what it's going to look like. Don't just say what you want, decide what you want. Write it out. I want to have a new job that you don't have to know exactly what the job is, but just say, I would like to have a new job that feels like this, that makes this amount of money, that my coworkers feel and relate to me like this, this, and this, and write it out. It's going to be this close to my home. It's going to pay me this much money. I'm going to get this much vacation. I'm going to be able to wear these kind of clothes. I'm going to be able to do this kind of work with these kind of people. However that looks. And then be ready to receive it. So the unicorn is about creating that vision. This is exactly how the third eye chakra looks. It's a cone that extends out from your head, and it's how you see things through your third eye instead of just your two eyes. It's where you create your vision and hear and feel the lessons. Pretty exciting reading today. I think I've already summed it up pretty well as we've gone along, so I'm going to do some wrapping up. One thing I can add is once you decide and go through some of these exercises I've talked about in the tarot spread, is I want you to plan some actions. One of those actions could be journaling out what you decide you want to do, have, and be. Write it out. The next thing you could do is look for synchronicities or inspiration or nudges from the universe about what direction to go next, what to try next, what to do next. And then follow up with those. Like if you are keep running across this, say a video from me, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, hey, why don't I dive in deeper with Diana, and maybe she can help me get some support, some clarity, some ideas, some clearing in my energy body so that I can see more clearly and create more clearly and be more in alignment with who I am and what I want to be, do, and have. That's what I do. So say, for instance, if you have this idea, whatever it might be, and then you keep seeing me pop up on your Facebook feed, and it keeps nudging you like, maybe I should do that, maybe I should do that. And it could be anything. I often get nudged by animal medicine. Like I will see or like get animals in the cards and then I'll see them in the real world, or vice versa. Sometimes I see them in the real world and then they start popping up in the cards. And then I dive deeper into that message. What does rabbit medicine mean for me, for instance? And I'll look at that and then I'll work through it, because rabbits are about having fear. So I'll look through and do inner work on how I am being in fear right now, and maybe like some steps to get out of it, where it's coming from, all that kind of stuff. So look for synchronicities. The first step was to take some actions like journaling and deciding. Second step is look for synchronicities. And the third step is, if you need some more support or you have questions, you can always drop them in the comments here. I also have a private Facebook group that is specifically, we work on things like this. And you can ask questions in there. I'm going to start a Q&A session on Saturday mornings. And tomorrow is going to be the first one I've done in a while. And it's going to be Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And tomorrow I'm going to talk, since we just started a new moon cycle, I'm going to talk about lunar energies and energy cycles in general, and how to work with them, how to use them. So like tomorrow, we're at the start of a new moon cycle, so I'm going to talk about the new moon energy, how to work with it. Basically, it's a good time to decide on what you want, like we've been talking about all day, of course, because that's what the cards know we're bringing forward. All this stuff interrelates sometimes so much that it makes sense to me to, like, of course, these are energies of deciding and creating the life you want, because we're in a new moon. We have a new opportunity, a new expansive potential to go for. And we can work with these energies that have come forward to either get over them or to build on them, so that we can do what we came here to do. Let me look at my notes and see if I talked about everything. I think I did. So I'm going to drop a post here later. Oh, the thing I had to tell you about the Saturday morning Q&As is that they are in my private Facebook group. My private Facebook group is called the Tiny Drops to Start a Ripple. And it's where we do practices, experiments, exercises, and we work through the lunar cycle. So there's a new quest each week in accordance with the lunar cycle, and we do different exercises or practices, or we are aware of certain things, and we set goals and we share them and we celebrate each other. And it's a whole great community of seeing the potentials that we can start to work with by taking little actions each day, those tiny drops that help us build muscles so that we can do the bigger things. So for instance, right now you just might be working on keeping the vibration of abundance because you haven't been in that situation. And when you work on that, just keeping that vibration, then when you have built that muscle to hold that vibration more often, then when you start to do bigger work, you have that foundation to build on, and then things can come in more quickly because you're not blocking them. Does that make sense? I hope so. Anyway, so we do things like that in the group where we build those tiny muscles that are tiny now. We do little practices to make them bigger so we can do bigger things. Because this is all about helping get you to do the work that you came here to do, to share the message that you came here to share, to be the person that you want to be, that you've decided to be. How are you going to go for that? Well, it takes practice. And so that we do practices in my Tiny Drop group. And we are working through the lunar cycles as the scaffolding or the background to build on that. All right, that's it for today. toodaloos, and I hope you have a great day. You guys are amazing, creative, magical beings, and keep thinking, keep your hand on your heart, keep thinking of dolphins and puppies. I know it sounds silly, but it friggin' works. All right? See you later.